going to put y'all on the spot. Didn't tell you this was coming.
The biggest thing is we don't want to over-alert.
To ride out the storm, essentially.
We would have to evacuate as a city.
Hello and welcome to Pasadena Works, the podcast that takes you inside City Hall and beyond in 15 minutes or less. I'm your host, Laura Branch Mireles. And this episode, I am joined by two of my very favorite people in the whole wide world from the City of Pasadena Office of Emergency Management, Azell Carter and Andrew Aleman. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, Ms. Laura.
Glad to be here.
We've worked together a lot over the past 8 years. We've had hurricanes and pandemics and freezes, chemical releases. So, which leads me to the obvious question. For people who don't know, what does the Office of Emergency Management do?
Well, simply our job is to make sure that the city and the residents of Pasadena are prepared for any type of incident, either man-made or, technological. Just make sure that they're prepared and they have all the information they need to make decisions for them and their families.
And so you guys are all hands on deck before, during, and after an emergency, right? And so, Andrew, let me ask you, our location is very unique as far as the types of emergencies that we face. Tell our audience about Pasadena and some of the challenges. We sort of touched on that a second ago, but what we've seen and why you guys need to be extra on top of things.
All right. Well, City of Pasadena is uniquely located in an area that has a heavy industrial footprint. So we do have a bunch of chemical and other industrials up on the north side of our city, and they run all along to two other cities that we border, which is Deer Park and LaPorte. And then on top of that, we are prone to hurricanes. We're now prone to flooding, and more recently, we're now becoming more prone to tornado weather.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
new.
on top of that, we're dealing with just everyday industry work where we have to be prepared for something going bad at an industry partner.
All right. And Azell, Andrew mentioned tornadoes. So we had our tornado in 2023, and it was the first tornado that had really done any damage or, touched down severely in Pasadena in decades, which brings me to our siren system. Let's go back to 2023 and talk about how that changed things for us as far as the way we alert our public.
Well, typically for us, we were basically alerting individuals in case of a hurricane scenario. That's what we trained for, that's what we practiced for. The tornado was different because, as you said, just simply in Harris County, we hadn't had a tornado of that magnitude since 1992. And so that's a little over 30 years. And so that changed things for us because it was like, how do we alert individuals that are outside? Which made us also think we didn't have sirens in that area because the siren footprint was only for industry. So it changed our mindset on how we want to use our tools and different capabilities to maximize them to help strengthen the public, give them some form of resilience that we are trying to help them get out of harm's way.
And when you say siren footprint, you mean that along 225 and on the north side of town, up until recently,
Yes.
we had sirens, as well as the refineries and the plants had sirens of their own.
Yes.
And those were primarily used for what?
Those are primarily used for chemical releases. They were put there in the early 90s as a good faith effort from industry to say, hey, if something was to go, if they had a chemical upset, they would alert their sirens, we would alert our sirens, and we would get the people who were closest in harm's way out of harm's way. Now, with the changing dynamics that we have with weather, namely the tornado in 2023, we realize we can actually sound those, we can use the National Weather Service, and they can give us different information, and we can alert the sirens so that individuals can know something is coming.
So the sirens, the expanded and updated sirens in the city of Pasadena that we rolled out in February, started in January with the construction, rolled out in February, they are now being used for industrial emergencies as well as tornadoes, which leads me to the education portion of it. Andrew, we were talking off camera earlier about shelter in place. So siren sound equals shelter in place when it's not the weekly test.
Correct.
When is the weekly test?
The weekly test is every Saturday at noon.
And that's Deer Park, Pasadena, and LaPorte, all three at once.
Yep.
Every Saturday at noon, all three jurisdictions. Okay, let's go back to shelter in place. For those that don't know, what is that?
So sheltering in place means that there's an incident outside, factors involved outside that mean you need to go inside some sort of shelter, some sort of residence, some sort of business, something that you're out of the elements. When you're sheltering in place, you want to make sure all your windows and doors are closed. You want to also make sure if you have the capability to turn off your air conditioning system. That's your heater, that's your air conditioner, whatever the elements are outside, you need to turn that off. If you are in a vehicle, you need to stay in your vehicle, and you can turn your AC off and continue to leave the area if you're already leaving the area. Just you don't want to proceed into the area that's encircled for a shelter in place area.
Okay, and the shelter in place area will be described on our social media as well as, and I'm sure the news will pick it up too whenever we decide when there is a shelter in place. Who calls a shelter in place?
Well, that is a combination between Office of Emergency Management, law enforcement, and the fire department. We convene and we try to make sure that we get that message to our mayor to make sure that we are all in agreement and in alignment with one another. Technically, either one of us can call it, but as a courtesy, we try to make sure that we all meet and talk before we make it that critical of a decision.
Okay, so if you're inside your house and you think you hear a siren, what should you not do?
Go outside.
That's a big thing, because our sirens do not talk. They're
Right.
not going to give you any instruction. So if you think you hear a siren, or you might hear a siren, just stay inside. Don't try to go outside.
Check your social media, check the
Check
radio.
your messaging. Yep.
Yeah, and then in addition to that, alerts will also, not during the testing period, but if there's a shelter in place, alerts also happen through our Ready Pasadena system.
Yes.
Azell, tell me what that is.
So our Ready Pasadena system is an opt-in system for our residents to be able to receive emergency alerting information from the Office of Emergency Management or another city department that may be using it at the time. The biggest thing is we don't want to over-alert individuals, which has been an issue as of late. So if you're opting in, that means you want to get information from us. And we use that as a tool in conjunction with other alerting instruments as a redundancy to make sure that they have all the information that they need in different mediums, on social media, on their phones, using sirens, everywhere possible. That just gives us another avenue to inform the public.
And the easy way to opt in is just text PTX Ready to 77295, PTX Ready, 77295. But Andrew, you can take it a step further. What do people need to do if they want to opt into specific types of messages, add their family members? What do they need to do?
Yeah, so the easiest way is, in fact, doing the PTX Ready to 77295. Easy, you send the text, it's done. If you wanted to go ahead and expand on your profile, for example, you wanted to go ahead and add your address, you can add your vehicle information, you can add your family information, your pet information even. It's a system that's piggybacked with the 911, the Ready 911 system, and that can be done by going to PasadenaReady.org.
Ready Pasadena.
ReadyPasadena.org. And then you would continue to fill out a profile there. And then at the very end of filling out your profile, you're able to opt into additional messaging, such as additional weather information. Maybe you want to get more information from our system versus the National Weather Service. Or maybe you want to sign up to get alerts from city events, like what parades are going on.
Non-emergency events.
Non-emergency information.
Every once in a
correct.
while we do that, but we
Yep.
try, like Azell said, not to white noise people.
Exactly. So you can go to the website and expand on your profile a little bit, and again, that's an easier way to actually add more people that are in your family.
All right. So one of the weather emergency situations where Ready Pasadena would be used, but the sirens will not be used, is hurricanes.
That's correct.
Why do we not use the sirens for hurricanes?
Outside of the fact that our sirens do not talk, with having one tone, we just want to keep the message simple: shelter in place. The hurricanes are a little different because we are in an evacuation zone. We need to tell people to evacuate, but when if we sounded the siren for evacuation, what does that?
That would create a panic.
Right, and
Oh
it's,
my
and it's
gosh.
not telling the public anything.
That'd be awful.
Right, so we would not use that. We would not use the sirens, but we would definitely use rave.
Our Ready Pasadena
Ready
mobile
Pasadena.
alert.
Yes, we'll send that out so that people know, hey, this is your evacuation time and things of that nature. That would be in the case of a mandatory evacuation.
And so we've had the question over the years because, we've seen several hurricanes while we've been together in the Emergency Management Center. Why isn't the convention center used as a hurricane shelter?
The simple answer is we are in an evacuation zone.
Flood surge meaning is a possibility.
So we evacuate for surge, flood waters due to a storm surge, as a proper term, storm surge. We are in Zone C, so we have some basins and rivers that are close to us and bayous, such as Ormond Bayou, and then we're nestled in between the ship channel. If a strong enough hurricane comes where we can get significant amount of storm surge, we would have to evacuate as a city. Also, with the convention center being one of the southernmost points of the city, that is typically where that storm surge will originate from. So we do not use the Pasadena Convention Center as a shelter. Technically, we do not shelter within the city of Pasadena during a hurricane because we're asking individuals to evacuate.
The last thing you want to do is get hundreds of people in that convention center and then have
Right.
it flood.
Yes.
All right, so we are talking about hurricanes, and I can tell our producer right now that we're going to go over 15 minutes, so my big branding pitch is moot right now, but I'll try and keep it under 20 minutes because hurricane season is coming up, and these two guys are important guys to hear from. So we're not an evacuation shelter with the convention center. However, we are an evacuation hub. Explain the difference, Andrew.
Okay. So obviously the evacuation center or a shelter is going to be someplace where you can go to prior to an emergency and ride it out. And hopefully everybody, is able to go home after the event. But with it being a hub, what we actually do is everybody who needs assistance in evacuating, people who don't have family outside the Houston metro area, who aren't able to evacuate themselves to somewhere outside, they can go to our evacuation hub and they can actually get on a bus that the state will send out and then send them to a hotel to ride out the storm, essentially.
But that option with the convention center being an evacuation hub does not happen with every hurricane. And so that would be something that the city would alert our residents. You would hear about it on the news. It would be on our social media. So I just want to make sure that our residents are very aware. If you hear a hurricane's coming, don't just take it for granted that our convention center is going to be a hub.
Right.
Correct.
Right. So STEER, the STEER program, is something that also helps people. What is that?
The STEER is the State of Texas Emergency Assistance Registry. What that is for individuals who maybe have some sort of medical issue that leaves them in ambulatory. They can't walk on their own. They need assistance. They have medical devices they need to continue to help themselves with daily life. And the STEER program actually gets them and makes sure that they are good before a storm. Right after a storm, they sign up and they're registered. We go and check on them afterwards and we make sure they don't have any unmet needs. The STEER program also is for individuals who simply just need a ride to, maybe we're not sheltering, we won't be sheltering here in Pasadena at the convention center, but maybe George R. Brown is being used,
And they can get a ride to George R. Brown. So our website, pasadenatx.gov, and if they go on to our Office of Emergency Management page, there is a sidebar with STEER, STEAR, and that will take you on how to sign up for that state program. All right, so our last topic we're going to cover, because I'm trying really hard to keep it under 20 minutes, is our hurricane workshop coming up. Azell, tell us all about it. When is it? And we have a special guest.
Yes, the Hurricane Workshop is going to be the first Saturday in June, June 7th. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's a free event. It's not only just for the city of Pasadena, but it includes our Southeast Regional LEPC, which stretches as far as Webster, includes Nassau Bay and Seabrook and El Lago and Taylor Lake Village. But also our neighbors, Deer Park and LaPorte, will also be there as well. So we try to get the whole community to come out because, as you said, the Pasadena Convention Center is an evacuation hub. And that hub is for everything in the southeast of Harris County comes up to the evacuation hub if indeed we have to use it.
And at the workshop, you have some giveaways. What are we giving
Yes.
away, Andrew?
Yeah, so we have a lot of giveaways that are given from an industry. It could be something as nice as a gas card. We also have some, our grand prize for adults is going to be a home-sized generator.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
So,
a
like,
big-
well, that's like a mobile generator,
Yeah,
not
portable.
a built-in.
Right, not
yeah.
a built-in. It's going to
Yeah,
be portable.
portable. Mhm.
But
That's
that was
okay.
such
They
a-
work
such
too.
a- yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean, hey, it's a free generator,
It's
right?
a generator.
But it had so much traction last year that we're trying to get it some additional generators donated. But
Okay.
and then for the kids, we at the very end after the keynote speaker, we have a bicycle giveaway, the bicycle raffle for all the kids that remained. They went through all the proper stations and got stamped. Then their name gets put in the drawing for a bicycle.
So it's a free family event on the first Saturday morning in June. It's the Southeast Regional
Yes.
Pasadena Convention Center Hurricane Workshop. And so we're looking forward to that. It's always a good time. Hundreds of people show up. Hundreds.
Yeah.
We
Last
get
year,
there
I think we
early.
had 1,500.
Yeah, we get
Somewhere around
anywhere
there.
from 1,000 to 1,500 throughout the day. This year, our keynote speaker is going to be Miss Elise Smith.
Channel 13.
From Channel 13, meteorologist from Channel 13. So we're really looking forward to that. And it's also always good when you see the participants in the Safety Fair and Hurricane Workshop. They resonate with the speaker because they've seen them on TV.
Right.
And now they actually see them in person and they can put a face to a name. And that's always a good feeling when they get to see that. The speaker will come on roughly around 12:30.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there and give us a outlook on the 2025 hurricane season.
Well, and she's such a sweetheart. She helped us get the word out on our sirens, too.
Yes.
So there was that. All right. One last question. Going to put you all on the spot. Didn't tell you this was coming. What is one thing about your job or your department or your team that people might not know that you wish they did?
That's things that we do that people may not know.
Off season.
Off season. The amount of meetings and the time we put into preparation. You know, most times people only see us during an emergency, right? And they say, well, where did you come from? We never seen you work in the city because we don't technically work in City Hall. Even in our current building, we are in our space. But during an emergency, you will see a heavy dose of our team, very prominent. And so the amount of preparation from meetings to planning to, you know, upgrading our plans, making sure everybody in the city is aware of what we're doing that's a constant everyday work that most people do not see. You see it because you help us with some of our messaging, but most people don't see that. So.
All right. And also, a lot of times you are having to do things on behalf of other entities. I know you've been called away for wildfires. The city of Pasadena is our Office of Emergency Management, top in the state. And so you guys get tapped a lot to
Yes.
come help other jurisdictions. So we're very proud of that. We're pleased with that. And we just are so thankful for you guys. And thank you for joining us here today.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
you'll stay hidden this hurricane season.
Hopefully.
But it's okay. We know you're there and we feel a lot more protected because you are. So thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us here at Pasadena Works, the podcast that's supposed to take you inside City Hall and beyond in 15 minutes or less. But I stretched it this time because I had two really great guests from the City of Pasadena Office of Emergency Management. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Laura Branch Mireles.